first scheduled city council meeting for the month of June. I do call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and I'm going to have Sandy take the roll, please.
Brian Smith.
Here.
Steve Hackett.
Here.
Deb Fensky. Here. Paul Hagan.
Here.
Alan Keeland.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Shambo.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
John Lockwood.
Here.
Jillian Peterson.
Here.
And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
Did I miss the open meeting statement? Sandy, will you please read the open meeting statement?
This meeting and all other meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so that citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thank you. Under the agenda part of the packet here, you have the consent agenda. There are a number of items that are on the consent agenda. Is there any of these items that council would like to see moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? If not,
Move to accept as presented in the agenda.
Second.
motion by Keelan, second by Shamble, that the council approves of the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Under the regular agenda, there are no additional handouts, so what you have in your packet is what we have for the night. Again, we'd be looking for a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the regular agenda. Second.
We have a motion by Hackett, second by Lockwood, that we approve the regular agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, under non-agenda items and announcements, we have a presentation from Robin Matson, who is representing the Foundations for Living. Robin, you want to step up to the podium?
Mayor Smith, I think Chris is still trying to get all our cameras set up. Would it be okay if maybe Mr. The fellow from Running Cab, maybe do his presentation and give Chris a little more time to get ready? Because Robin needs some
Okay, Robin,
technology. I'm sorry. We're scrambling a little bit. Thank you.
All right, let's move on.
Dave Lowe.
We have a presentation from Brown Cab, Running Transit Systems Incorporated on our 2012 taxi operations.
And it is Dave Lowe. Sorry, David.
It's okay, Henry. I'll remember. Okay. I'd like to just kind of briefly summarize. I think you have a handout that is going to pretty much cover what I'm going to say. But last year, Waupaca Taxi, we had a 14% increase in ridership over the year before. We did 58,650 trips, one-way trips last year. That, when you look at it, that's almost 10 trips per capita for everybody who lives in the city of Waupaca. That's an incredible number when you look at what other comparable communities do. And we're very happy for the support that we get from the community. And we think that we continue to grow. This year, we've got about a 6.5% increase through the first 4 months. I haven't seen any May figures yet, but we're looking at a 6 to 7% increase for this year on top of that 14% last year. So that's it's tremendous. The revenues weren't quite as high, primarily because the makeup of our clientele changed slightly. Apparently, so a bunch of people got past that magic 60-year-old mark and qualified for reduced fares. So our fare income only increased about 7%, about half as much as what the overall ridership increase was. Another thing that held it down a little bit is most of our systems, Running Incorporated and Brown Cab, which are corporate sisters. They're two separate companies, but we have the same ownership. We operate 23 shared ride taxi systems in the state. Most of the systems have about 6% of their clientele who receive an agency fare. That means an agency such as Community Care or the medical assistance broker pays for that person's ride. We're able to get a higher fare from them because they're getting paid to provide the service to that individual. So we want to make sure that the city doesn't subsidize, the city taxpayers don't subsidize a ride that's already being subsidized by the taxpayers. So, but we only have about 2% of those in the city of Waupaca. So that, again, kind of puts a slight damper on the amount of income that we get. It's not a bad thing. It kind of explains why the revenues didn't increase quite as much as the ridership did. We also have been working with the County of Waupaca. They had a bus they called the Freedom Bus that they were underutilizing or not utilizing at all. They were using it about 5 days a year. And we had engaged in some conversations, and it took about the better part of about 8 months before we got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. But about a month ago, we got access to that vehicle. It's a 2-wheelchair bus, which gives us backup for our service at the Veterans Home at King with another 2-wheelchair vehicle. For the last 4 or 5 years, we've had a 1-wheelchair vehicle for backup. So when our main vehicle went down, because so many of the King clientele are disabled and need the wheelchair lift and wheelchair capability, it put a damper on service there as well as everywhere else in the system. We either had to borrow another vehicle from the city of Waupaca to send out there if we had it, or it wasn't good. So now we have a backup vehicle with the 2-wheelchair capability that our primary vehicle out there does. And it also gives us the ability to provide some service to the county for individuals who can't use their volunteer program that live in the areas of Waupaca County outside the county. We can provide them with service, which will be a moneymaker. We actually charge the cost of the service. So again, it doesn't require any subsidy from the city of Waupaca. Actually will reduce the city subsidy for some of the other rides that needs to be done. That started out, we're working with that. It's too soon to know exactly how busy it is, but we're very encouraged by things that have happened in the last 2 or 3 weeks with that service. It seems to be working out well. The other thing we had recently is a meeting with the people at the Veterans Home. The Veterans Home has contributed a flat dollar amount to Waupaca taxi operations for the past, 5 years, Henry? That hasn't changed at all. And they get that amount, the way it worked is they would pay that amount. We would take the number of trips that they ordered from the Vets Home and pay the fares for those trips out of that, and anything left over was available to help defray local share and pay for capital improvements. Well, it's been over the last couple of years that almost all of that money was used up in fares for people. So we're hoping from our conversations recently that they will ante up a few more dollars to help it, because they're still getting a really good deal. They're getting an average cost of about $4 per ride for their members out there, which is a very, very reasonable cost. So we think that we're on the right track to help keep the city taxpayers of Waupaca from having to subsidize the service at all. We're taking steps to do that. We're encouraged by our ridership increases, and we believe that we've got nowhere to go but up. And I'd be really pleased at this point to answer any questions you have regarding anything that I've said or any questions regarding what you might think of the taxi service. Hearing nothing, I'll sit back down. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
You ready? Henry?
Yes, he's ready. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll go back to number 1 here. This is a presentation by the Foundations for a Living, and Robin Matson will be making the presentation. Are we using this?
Yeah.
I have to turn it.
You can come up and stand in this area. Whoever you
Oh, no.
search anything on the internet. The light ever turn off?
There you go. Okay, we'll see if this works from back here. Yep. Good evening. My name's Robin Matson. I'm Executive Director of Foundations for Living. Thank you for letting me come and just share a little bit about who Foundations for Living is, what we do, and how it impacts this community. Foundations for Living is a Christian nonprofit transitional agency. We offer quality transitional living housing. We are not a CBRF, which is a community-based resource center or facility, or an adult family home. We have state certification that we do not need a license because we are not a CBRF or an adult family home. We have 4 houses at this time with a capacity of 11 people in all 4 houses. The highest capacity is 4. We have 2 men's houses, a women's house, and a family home. Our residents are responsible for cooking, cleaning, and maintaining, which makes it different, which makes us not a CBRF. They're responsible for their own upkeep. They are independent. They take care of their own food. They take care of their own household goods. We do help them out at Ruby's Pantry, and also we have a share and care voucher system which they can earn some of those non-food essential items that they have. And they also pay 20% of their housing costs when they get a job. We have qualified staff. Myself, I am the executive director. I have a bachelor's degree in family life education. I'm also have a certification in leadership and experience in nonprofit management. My sister, who is a co-founder and director of client services, she has a bachelor's and a master's degree in psychology and counseling. She has previous experience with CAP services and with social services in AODA, alcohol and other drugs issues and anger management, and as well as client services. We also have a licensed social worker, Michelle Moore, and she has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and as a licensed social worker. We have client-centered programming. We start the process with an initial intake assessment, and the purpose of that is just to determine who they are, where they've been, what their needs are, beyond just the I need housing today and food. So we look at where they are and what their real needs are. From that assessment, and each client meets with my sister Linda for at least a minimum of 3 times to determine if they're qualified for the housing. And once they are, they come up with a SMART goal in their own client-centered programming. SMART means specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. They also address the issues such as abuse, anger, addiction, those things that, those issues in their life that might have got them to where they were without a home and whatever the issue was that they were at. We offer ongoing support. They meet, one of their regular expectations, especially in the house, is that they meet with either Linda or Michelle on a weekly basis. We also have monthly house meetings, and that's with all of the people in the house, just to address issues of, people living together. There's always issues. And we also are in the process of developing a Circles of Care mentoring program to give even more support to the clients that we serve. Our housing, if in order to qualify for the housing, now people can come into our program and not be part of the housing, but they cannot be part of the house without being part of the program. So we're not a rental agency where they come in just for the housing. There's expectations and expectations and responsibilities that they have. They have to have an income of less than 125% below poverty level. They need to be employed or employable or have a legal source of income. They have to have a teachable attitude, which means they got to be willing to learn. They also have to display a willingness to follow all program expectations, including we ask them to commit to 6 months to 2 years, because we know it takes 6 weeks just to begin a new habit. It takes 6 months to replace old habits that are lifelong habits. It also takes that time just for them to get comfortable and to trust us. They have to work 40 hours a week. That's what they're expected to do. Now, work can consist of employable work where they get a paycheck, and then also consist of looking for work, and they document that. But they also have to be in active service, volunteer service, and they do a lot of that down at Ruby's Pantry and with Ed O'Brien, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a little bit. And they also have to submit on a weekly basis all of those documents that shows how many hours they volunteered, how many hours they worked, how much, if they had pay stubs, they have to give copies of that. They have to do all of those on a weekly basis. They also have, if they're living in the house, they also have, of course, household chores that they're expected to take care of the house and do the dishes, and they work through that. And they also meet weekly with either Linda or Michelle, as I said. Oh, and of course, they have to remain alcohol and drug free and be respectable. So who do we serve? The men and women that we serve are over 18, and we get a lot of referrals from a lot of different places. A great majority of our referrals are from probation parole. We also get some from local churches. From sometimes the schools. We did have last year, well, up until this May, we had a 18-year-old boy who was living in one of our houses so he could graduate from high school. We get them from Health and Human Services, referrals from the W-2 program or social workers there. Other nonprofits also refer them to us, and individuals. And, sometimes even the word spreads and people hear, and they come and see us if they need housing or help. In 2012, now these numbers are at the end of 2012, but at the end of 2012, we had served 46 clients. That means 46 clients had come into our office for some type of assistance. Of those 46 clients, 16% of them were involved with probation and parole. 12 of them received housing from our 4 houses here, but also from a house in Marion. 6 of them were adult men. 2 were students. One was going to college, and like I said, 1 high school gentleman. 2 were single moms, and between the 2 of them, they had 6 children. 3 of them, there were single women that were living in our women's house. Some of the people that we really work together with, a few really key partners here. Ruby's Pantry and John Rowe, that they help our clients with some of the food needs that they have, but mostly they give them opportunity to volunteer, and they work, and John works with them to help with those soft job skills, like showing up on time, being respectful, working hard. They do a lot of training on, like when one of our clients has learned how to run a forklift and is in the process of getting his forklift certification or license or whatever it is, so he can go out into a job and work as a forklift driver. We also work with Ed O'Brien, and he has a program called Service Driven, and he works with our clients to provide some job training, some job evaluation. Then he also provides job referral and placements when he can find them. We also work with an agency or ministry in Marion called Mama House of Hope, and Mama stands for Marion Area Ministerial Association. And they have 2 transitional living apartments, women's apartments, and we provide the care, the client support, and the case management, and then they give us a portion of their rent. They take care of all the housing, but we oversee the clients. So where do we get our income from? We get some grants. Last year we got the Wapaka Community Foundation grant, and we will be applying for that. We get some support from businesses such as Wapaka Foundry and Farmer State Bank. We have individual donors who support us, like John Gusmer and Al Brewer. Churches, Shepherd of the Lake, Scandinavia Lutheran, and many different churches support us as well. We also have some fundraising events. We have a wonderful lady that is our fundraising coordinator, and she's been developing some fundraising events for us. But last year we had a dinner dance, a virtual walk, wine and cheese, a Hope for the Homeless benefit. This year we are going to have a brat fry. But we're also having a golf outing on October 12th. You'll hear about that a little bit later. And also the Help for the Homeless benefit and other things. So what's the cost? How much does it cost? Now, I spoke with Camille Solberg, who is an assistant to Ron Johnson, and as she was talking with me, she said that as Ron Johnson makes his decisions, he looks at 2 things. What is the cost, and what is the impact? So I'd like to share with you what the cost is and what the impact of what we do. The cost, according to HUD, which is the housing department, the cost of providing emergency shelter to families is generally as much or more than the cost of placing them in transitional or permanent housing. According to the National Alliance of Homelessness, providing homes for those who are experiencing chronic homelessness can save the taxpayers money. And I want to show you how. This is just for housing. Now keep in mind, this is just for the housing that I'm talking about. In the housing costs, for people who are in jail, who are incarcerated, and we have, I looked on the website, and there's about 200. They said there was average 200 a night. That's $84 a night, which costs about $2,500 a month and about $30,000 a year. In emergency shelter, now here in Wapaka, a lot of times the emergency shelter is the local hotel, and that's about $50 a night, which is about $1,500 a month and $1,800 a year. For Foundations for Living, with what we pay, we rent our houses right now. So our housing cost is about $37,000 a year, which is about, that's for all of them. That's about $3,400 per year per person. So it's the impact. If we can continue to provide what we do, it can save the taxpayers $14,000 to $26,000 per year per person. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. However, it's not just the money that makes an impact. We also have other benefits. There are other benefits for the people who are successful in our program. We work towards stopping the cycle of poverty, abuse, and addiction. What we notice and what we see is that a lot of the people that are coming into our houses, this is the way they've lived and what the way they've lived and experienced all their lives through many generations. We're helping and we're working towards stopping that cycle of abuse and poverty. It produces more productive workers. If we can train them and give our clients training and help them to learn not only those hard skills, those job skills, but also the soft skills, they will be more productive workers, which means that they will be out there working and they will also be buying in the stores. It provides for a safer community. If we can transform and stop the cycle, it will make the next generation stronger. It will bring us stronger families and a better world for all. That's the goal. So some frequently asked questions. There seems to be, as I go around and talk to people, there seems to be three major issues or three major areas of questions about who we are and what we do. The first one has to do with what type of housing we provide. Is Foundations for Living, do we provide a shelter? No, we don't. We are transitional living housing, transitional living, not shelter. So what's the difference? A shelter offers more short-term, 1 or 2 nights to 3 months, the max. They have limited services. They might have some, but they're limited, and there's very little educational opportunity for change. It's just a quick fix. Transitional living is longer term, and there's supportive services and educational component for change. As a Christian agency, does FFL serve only Christians? No, absolutely not. Foundations provide services for anyone who is teachable, which means they're willing to accept responsibility for their actions, they're willing to address issues, they're willing to work toward growth and change. They're teachable, they want to do things different. And we don't discriminate against based on religion, denomination, or beliefs. Now here's a big elephant in the room. Does FFL provide housing for sex offenders? Again, FFL provides housing for anyone who is teachable. That means they're willing to accept responsibility for their actions, they're willing to address the issues that got them there, and they're willing to work toward growth and change. And we cannot and do not discriminate based on an offense. If they qualify for the housing, then they're welcome to come. The question, I see it as, oh, here's some facts. Sex offenders live in your neighborhood. 34 residents of Waupaca are on the sex offenders registry. You can find that on the website. Most sex offenders that are there, they're there because of sexual activity between boyfriend and girlfriend. An 18-year-old has sex with his 16-year-old girlfriend, things like that. And less than 1% of our clients are on the registry at this time. The real question sometimes is not if they're in your neighborhood, how do you want them in your neighborhood? We work very closely with probation and parole, so we provide that double layer of oversight and double layer of boundaries. So what probation and parole doesn't provide, which they do, we provide it even more. So there's regulations, we watch them, we take care of them, and we make sure that they're safe. So, if there's any questions, I can address questions at this time.
I have one question for you. Are most of your clients from the Waupaca area or elsewhere?
Right now, most of them are from Waupaca area. We do have some clients, like I said, in Marion, and we do have a few in Clintonville as well. And we've gotten some calls from Watoma area as well. But
So
right
the,
now,
the 11 that are in Waupaca are mostly Waupaca area
Yes.
residents.
yes. Our dropout, what do you mean?
People get tired of it.
Yes, sometimes. We've got, last year we had like a 79% success rate. As we're working through the building of our program and setting those boundaries, it seems that once they get into the house, they feel comfortable, and then when they see that it's not just we're giving you a house to live in, and that there's expectations and responsibilities, sometimes they don't like those boundaries, and then they leave.
Anybody else?
Yeah, you mentioned you have 4 houses in Waupaca.
Yes.
Do you have any plans to expand?
Yeah, that's because there's definitely a need. For right now, we only can house 11 people. We hope to spread out all through Waupaca County, like in New London and Clintonville. Like I said, we have houses in clients in Clintonville. As the need grows and we can afford it, then,
Yeah, I'm only concerned about the city. Do you plan on expanding in the city at all?
We're kind of looking at this point right now, we're looking at possibly a different area closer to Ruby's Pantry where we are. It's a possibility. We don't have any specific places right now. that we're looking to expand into, no.
Okay, so you don't have a plan in place, or you're not in the middle of some kind of a 5-year plan or something that would?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
Thank you.
Robin.
Thank you for giving me a chance to share.
Yep, thank you for the information.
I do have some, if anybody's interested in these, some booklets. I got some booklets here that you can, if you want to take anything home with you.
Thanks. You want to bring them up here? Well,
Yeah, let's,
John, somebody, you want to grab this for us?
Thank you. Get something mounted. Life a lot easier.
You can bring them here.
Did you ever get in, by the way?
I did. Sandy's?
Yeah.
To the website first. I couldn't go to the website. Oh, pass.
Well, I think you have to.
Thank you, John. Since this is the first meeting of the month, we do not have department head reports, but Henry, maybe you could introduce Brennan.
Absolutely. We have our new development director with us this evening, Brennan Kane. He started on Monday. Brennan, you want to tell us, well, he's from the town of Mount Pleasant. He recently was there. You've been there, 8 years as deputy community and economic development director. Hails from Green Bay. And we're told you look like Mike McCarthy. Do you get that much?
No, I have not.
But he's already been involved in some things in the last couple days, so we're bringing him up to speed on projects and things like that. So welcome, Brennan.
Can we use that somehow in our economic development? Okay, let's move on to action items. Then we have Judiciary Committee. They have a license report number 1172. This is an operator's license for Paula R. Smith. And as you can see on, help me out, what page was that again? I just skipped that. What is it? 55. If you look at 55 in your,
Into the memo.
54.
54 and 55.
okay. Chief, do you want to address this, please?
Well, the memo was pretty self-explanatory. What happens is when people come and apply for bartender's license, they fill out an application form, which is following that memo. Part of the application process is that they provide current, accurate, and correct information. If you notice on the bottom of the application, it says providing false or inaccurate information will be grounds for denial. When I do a background check and I find something that differs from the application form, I bring it forward typically to judiciary, and now it's coming straight to council for review.
Okay, and you are recommending then that the operator's license be denied because of,
Well, no, these don't come forward with any recommendation. This is just coming forward with the facts that they did provide inaccurate information, and according to the application process, it's grounds for dismissal or denial from the commission or from the council as a whole. I do not make a recommendation on these.
I'll make a motion that we deny the license for Paula R. Smith.
Second.
motion by Hackett, second by Hagan, that the council denies the issuing of an operator's license to Paula R. Smith. And this is license report number 1172.
Is Paula Smith here tonight?
No, she's not, but the next one is, so. Okay, go ahead. Any discussion?
Well, Chief, what is implied consent?
They refused to take a breath test or a blood test.
Oh,
Okay, and she was notified of this, and she had the opportunity to come to this meeting tonight, and she chose not to be here or could not make it tonight. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I guess before we vote, and I'm not saying I'm voting one way or the other, but, I mean, I did notice that it's been 10 years since she had anything. I'm not thrilled with the couple of OWIs and some of the other things, but, you know, at some point, you'd like to think that a person has a chance to start over, and after 10 years, you know, you wonder if the slate can't be cleaned at that point, but I know these things follow you. So that's all I have to say about it, but just so everybody's aware if they're not looking at it.
Eric, I think what the chief is saying is that on the
She lied on the
application, she
application.
said no, she didn't.
Yeah.
So,
What happens, chief, if they lie, they can come back in 6 months or something, right?
Yeah, by ordinance, they can come back in 6 months. Or they can reapply in 6 months.
So if she had put that she did and she listed them,
We can't even, we're not even discussing that at all, because that has nothing to do with it at
Right,
this
but she
point, because
did.
that's a different process, because that's a different denial process entirely. And we have a matrix that the judiciary brought forward. Was that not included in the packet?
I don't
So
remember.
it didn't really apply anyway, because we have a matrix in place when it comes to previous violations. And we just plug previous violations into a matrix, and then that's the determining factor on whether it would be denied or granted. This is purely being brought forward based on the fact that it was false information
Yep.
on an application that was sworn and notarized, which is a different violation.
We did address this at a previous Judiciary Committee meeting to a similar situation and did deny that license.
To a different individual.
Different individual, I'm sorry.
Anybody else? Discussion? If not, all in favor of denying this operating license to Paul R. Smith, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, we have license report number 1173, and this is an operator's license for Kimberly R. Brown. She is in attendance here, but Chief, you want to just,
Again, same thing here, and, you know, we've addressed this many, many times over the years at judiciary level, and many have served on judiciary. We've taken great lengths to inform the applicant that they have to provide true and correct information. They sign a form to that effect. It's bold, it's highlighted. They're given a packet or a brochure, a trifold. And they also have to swear before a notary. I mean, they're making a sworn statement. So that's kind of where we're at now. Being that we're moving away from judiciary, if the council wants to make a different process, that's entirely your decision to make. But as it stands right now, this, you know, like I said, we go to great lengths to try to get accurate and correct information, and when they don't, it comes forward. And this is the same thing as before, the previous one. Looks like there was one previous OWI. Again, we're not looking at that violation, the conviction, how it relates to the license itself, because that's a different process. It's just relating to inaccurate, false information.
Kimberly, would you like to speak to the council?
Hi, it was just a big misunderstanding. I did unintentionally check the wrong box. My employer gave me the sheet to fill out, and the first two I filled out, she lost. So in the second, or the third one, actually, she gave me and said, I gotta run down to City Hall, do you wanna hurry up and fill this out? So I just quick filled it out, and then she goes, oh wait, you can't sign it. You gotta run down there and sign the back of it and have her stamp the thing, and so I stamped it and I ran back and gave it back to her. She came in and she sent it in, so. I did not intend to lie, but yeah, I did have an OWI, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, so I did check the wrong box. I don't even remember what the question is offhand, but I did check the wrong one unintentionally, so that's about all.
Okay. Motion? Recommendation?
I'll make a motion that we disapprove
Denial.
Kimberly R. Brown.
second.
We have a motion by Hackett, second by Mayo, that the council denies the operator's license to Kimberly R. Brown, and this is on license report number 1173. Any discussion? Kimberly, you do understand, as the chief said, or somebody said before, you have the opportunity to reapply in 6 months? Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, we have the annual inspection report. This is by the, again, these are the licensed establishments by Chief Golk. Chief, do you want to add anything to what's in here?
Well, actually, I do. If you go through this report, hopefully you'll see one particular establishment jumps out at you, and this is a recurring problem at this location. At the end of June last year, I did send the licensee a warning letter regarding the number of the complaints we had. It was pretty good for 3 months or so, and then we jumped right back into this process that you see. I do want to point out that since the time I wrote this, which was 2 or 3 weeks ago, we've had other calls there. One is particularly disturbing, where 911 received a 911 call, a hang-up call. They called back the number, got the bartender. Bartender said, no, it was just a missed dial. And this is quoting from the officer's report. Officers went there anyway, found out that there was a rather large disturbance. One of the victims actually was transported to RMC with minor injuries, albeit. But here's a situation where they called 911, hung up. They called back, said, no, nothing's going on here. It was a mistake. We get there. There was a fight. It's just a progressive number of events at one establishment, and you can see how they compare to all the other places. You know, every place has maybe 1 or 2 or 3, but one definitely stands out. And I would like you to take notice of that and discuss what options we could have.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Can we suspend a license?
You have to go through a hearing,
Yes.
right?
It's pretty involved. You can't just make a decision tonight. You have to have a hearing, have to put up the evidence, have to give a person the right to come in and defend themselves, and it'll probably take 2 months to go through the process.
So how would you, what you're asking is how you would start that then? Is
Absolutely. If this is an ongoing, this is unacceptable.
Someone has to file a
Tim,
request.
or John, do you have your, yeah.
Someone has to file a request. It can either be done by law enforcement or it can be done by someone from the public, but there'd have to be a complaint filed and a request to review that license.
We have an ordinance that allows the commission to,
Right.
or the council to place a vote on a motion to proceed with either non-renewal or suspension or revocation. It's 2 different things. And
Usually it
we-
starts at judiciary level, and then it gets to a hearing before the council to make a final decision.
Well,
Right,
now,
but to
according
proceed
what
with
you're
that-
saying, can we do that motion?
Well, according to our
tonight?
ordinance, we have an ordinance in place, whether that's valid or not, I do not know. We have an ordinance that says revocation or suspension proceedings may be initiated upon written complaint by the mayor, chief, or by the council upon its own motion. And I guess I'd like to have the council seriously consider that option.
I mean, can we make that motion and vote on that today?
No, but if you want to put it on the agenda for next 2 weeks, you probably could. I think unless it's on the agenda to make that determination and complete the process, you should put it on the agenda and have it publicly noticed.
Okay.
But you could do that for the next meeting.
I would like to do that.
John, explain the process then. If
Well,
Deb, Alderperson,
I
Fenske,
can't tell you exactly what
Okay.
the process is, but if there is a proper request made, then the matter would be set for some type of a hearing, and there is a procedure that is set forth. It basically, I believe our ordinance has adopted the state law, which sets forth what that is. It takes a while to do that, but there's a hearing schedule, there's some time limits that have to be met, there's some times that you can't, with some time limits you have to wait before you can have the hearing, and so it goes on for a bit. At this point, there is an application for the license. I think that it probably has to be approved. But that
but we
doesn't
already
mean-
approved that.
Right, and that doesn't mean that it couldn't be revoked or suspended at some time in the future after the new license is issued.
Mayor, if I heard the chief read that ordinance correctly, it sounded like it could be written or the council could make a motion to start that process. Is that correct?
That's according to our ordinance.
According to the
If that
ordinance,
fits
you're
into state law, I do not know.
Although,
why I
we
asked
cannot
that.
make the motion tonight because it is not on our agenda.
But I
And
guess
then
I would question
try-
that it is on the agenda, annual license inspection report. And we're here to discuss the actions and the past events at all these establishments. I don't
And if
understand the
it, if it
difference.
appears based on this report that someone should bring a motion before the council, whether it be the council or law enforcement, I think it should be done at the next meeting and not this evening because it's not on the agenda. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously our city attorney is here to help us in these situations, but again, I think if we do make this motion, this should be something that is more specific on the agenda than to just say that it's an inspection report of all of the properties. I mean, or all of the premises.
How do we word
It should be
that?
specific to just one, establishment or more, one or more, but we're
How-
talking about one.
How do you want me to word that? Can you put
Well,
it
you're
on
just asking for it to be put on
the next agenda?
next agenda, and we'll make sure that it gets on the next agenda.
Okay, so I don't have to, okay.
No, you're fine.
But
Do we know who we're talking about?
Only
Can
ask
you?
the
Yeah,
one
that's
that want
specific.
it.
Or do you-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I know who I'm talking about.
Well, it's,
the one
if
with the
you look on
longest list
page
here.
63.
It's the one with the most infractions. Okay.
Pretty clear.
Chief, I have a question. Was my memory correct that there was a expansion of their premises to a outdoor deck or something?
Yes.
Okay, and at that time, did we want to have that situation monitored?
Yeah, as best as it can be. I mean, there really is no.
Do you have any idea as to if any of these complaints are from that expansion of the premises?
I don't know into that detail. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
So, the owner of Speakeasies should be at the next meeting? Or does not need
No,
to be at the next?
he should not have, this isn't a hearing request. He should have nothing to say about this. This isn't part of the hearing at all. This is just a presentation with this information to council. I guess it shouldn't be any different than tonight, because there should not be any opportunity for rebuttal at that point.
Well, you're not going to decide at the next meeting that this license is suspended.
No.
He is going to have a hearing and be able to come before council at a later date, and there are timeframes that have to be met specifically, and if you don't do them exactly the way that thing says, it'll get pitched out. So that's why we're not doing it tonight. We're going to get it on the agenda the way it should be. The motion is going to be properly worded, and the notices to the person who owns the speakeasy is going to be given proper notice. They have like 30 or 45 days before a hearing can be held. There's a specific time frame as to how that has to go. And it isn't going to probably be at a regular council meeting. It'll be at a special meeting. Is generally how those things are held.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So, but he does not, John, he does not need to attend, or whoever the owners
No.
are of Speakeasy.
Nothing
This
will
next
happen
meeting.
next week. They'll just get the process in motion. Right.
Okay.
John, if there's a certain way to word that motion,
I got to get the book out so I can read it to you.
Okay.
And I'll do that between now and the next meeting. If you want to call me, I'll
Sure.
sit down, we'll get it
Okay.
all done right.
That's
But I
fine.
can't tell you how to do it tonight. It isn't in my mind as how to do this. Didn't know this was going to come up and be so specific this
Okay.
evening. Yep.
thank you.
We want to, we have on the agenda to approve or not approve this inspection report, and it includes all of the premises that are on here. So what do we want to do here? Do we want to hold off on approving this annual inspection report?
Well, I think just approving the inspection report doesn't
So we're okay with
have
that?
any connotation.
You'd
Okay.
approve it because what it says is accurate. And unless someone has some complaint about what's in here, I think it should be approved.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the report.
Second. Motion by Hackett, second by Keelan, that the council approves of Chief Koch's annual inspection report for the city licensed establishments. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Next, we have a premise expansion request by the Wapaka Ale House for Oktoberfest. This is a cooperative event between the Wapaka Rotary, and it's on Friday, August 30th, 2013, and it's on page 66 in your packet. Justin is here tonight. Justin, anything you want to add to that? I mean, go ahead.
Don't really have anything to add. It's our 4th year doing it in conjunction with the Rotary Club. I'm just here in case anyone had any questions. It's pretty much going to be the same layout as last year, and everything is pretty much laid out in the letter that I sent up for the request.
Okay.
I'll make a motion we approve the premise description for the ale house for the Rotary Oktoberfest.
Second.
We have a motion by Lockwood, second by Hagan, that we approve the expansion request from the Wapaka Ale House for their Oktoberfest, which is in August. Any discussion? Chief, you're okay.
The only question I have is, it looks like you're asking for a waiver of under 21. That's on your note.
The last 3 years, yeah, we had just, it's more of a family event more than a drinking event, I guess, is kind of what we're trying to pass it off as.
A waiver can't be granted because you're not a special class B. So this is an actual extension of your existing license.
Correct.
So all the rules and laws that apply to your license now
Correct.
expand into this. So there's no special waiver that you can
Right.
request.
We just wanted to make everyone aware of it.
So what the chief is saying is that you're not going to be able to allow people under the age of 21.
Not under the waiver provisions, the rules of their license are different from, like, say, a bar. So, I mean, they can have underage people in there. It's like their restaurant. But the condition, just want to make sure that they understand the conditions of their current license just extend into this area. There's nothing special attached to it.
Oh.
Like when we have special class B, like the fireman's dance, they ask for that special waiver, but that's only because they're applying for a special class B that they can request that waiver. So nothing changes on the laws regarding their license. It's just
Okay.
everything applies just in a bigger area.
Okay. All right. I get it. All right. I'm sorry. Did we have a motion?
Yes, in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Sandy will take the roll.
John Lockwood,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Jillian Peterson,
Aye.
Deb Fensky,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dave Shambo,
Aye.
and Alan Keeland.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Okay, we have under Board of Public Works, John?
2 items, Mayor, they're quick. First is page 69 on your laptop. It's resolution number 1330. This is our compliance maintenance resolution for the wastewater treatment plant, our annual report that we submit to the DNR, and we require council action on that. We need motion on that tonight.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 1330.
Second?
Motion by Hackett, second by Olson, is that right? That council approves of the resolution number 1330, which is a compliance maintenance resolution. Any discussion? Sandy, will call the roll?
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
John Lockwood,
Aye.
Jillian Peterson,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Deb Fensky,
Aye.
Dave Shambo,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
and Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
And the last item is page 97 on your laptop. This is the revised lake management plan for Wapaka Mirror Shadow Lake and associated aquatic plant survey. We did approve this last year. However, there were some minor changes with the DNR, and we wanted to get action tonight. We'll then be submitting that to the DNR and requesting grant fund reimbursement. Well, this was a DNR lake management grant we did receive for this. So we need action on that tonight as well.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the lake management plan for Wapaka Mirror Shadow Lake.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Keelan, that the council approves of the lake management plan for Wapaka Mirror Shadow Lakes and the associated aquatic plant survey. Any discussion? Again, Sandy will call the roll.
John Lockwood,
Aye.
Dave Shambo,
Aye.
Jillian Peterson,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
and Deb Fensky.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Let's move on to finance then. We have a request from, which is on page 162, request by the Wapaka Community Arts Board for their 5th annual Arts on the Square event. 5 years already, huh, Marcy? 7. Oh, 7 altogether? You want to get up and just tell us?
I could do
I'm not sure if anyone has any questions about Arts on the Square. We've been doing it for 7 years now. It's really a great event. It grows every year. We're requesting the same thing we always request, the street closures and, what did I say in that letter? It's mostly just street closures, I think. We have some pretty cool stuff this year. I think the main attraction that isn't really detailed in that letter, though, is we're working with the Foundry and the Park and Rec Department to bring a sculpture artist team to make a metal sculpture that will be installed, I think, at South Park in part of their renovation. And it's going to be just basically honoring families in the community. They'll each be making a scratch block out of metal that'll be poured by a portable foundry artist. And each tile will be put together in kind of a montage or a mosaic piece. And we've got some original plans to possibly have 3 of those panels that will just represent the community and the support of the Foundry for the community. So it's kind of a blending of industry and art and just a commemoration of the role that the Foundry and the families play in our community. So that's our biggest, I think, different thing that we're doing. Otherwise, it's basically 3/10 of entertainment. There's music, dance, drumming, theater. We're having the Shakespeare people back again. We've got, I think, 39 artists so far and a lot of food, and the expanded farm market I think is going to have 15 farmers, so that's going to be bigger this year. So we're requesting the streets, Fulton Street and Union Street in front of Weasel's and the back parking lot of the library.
Okay.
Marcy, where do artists get applications?
From our website. Okay. I think there's 2 slots left. Hurry, hurry. Oh, and yeah, we have the street dance on Friday night also, and I haven't gotten around to doing the picnic license, but I'll probably be back next month for that. But we're having the band Copperbox this year, so it's going to be really cool if anyone's heard of them. It'll be really fun.
Okay. Good. Any questions of Marcy? Any other questions? All right, we need a motion.
I would move that we approve the request of the Wapaka Community Arts Board for street closures, Fulton Street from Main to Jefferson, Union Street from Main to Jefferson, the library parking lot, and also Jefferson Street behind the library.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayo, second by Lockwood. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Good luck, Marcy. Okay, next we have a request from a group called The Family for the use of the City Hall front lawn on Thursday, June 27th, for a family fun stop. I don't know if Karen is here. Karen Benke, is it? She's not here, but again, on page, is it 163? 163 in there, she's requesting access to the front lawn of the public library slash city hall for Thursday, June 27th for purpose of a family fun stop. Henry, I don't know if your office has had the opportunity to look at this.
Actually, Peg spoke to me a little bit about it. We felt that this was a unique enough activity. It looks like it's going to be fairly well attended, and felt that, you know, in the past, whenever groups want to use our grounds, we do require approval. I think this group was around a couple years ago, huh, Peg? Yeah. So
we know that they are a non-profit organization.
Mm-hmm.
We do?
I don't think they are. They're a radio station.
Yeah.
They're groups of radio station, yeah.
Nothing for profit here, though.
They won't be selling anything.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request by the family for use of the City Hall front lawn on Thursday, June 27th.
Second.
We have a motion, you've heard the motion by Shambo, second by Keelan. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, next we have a request from Little Wolf Automotive LLC. This is to amend their development agreement for the project at 225 Southwestern Avenue. This was the former Haviline Quick Lube, and if you remember at our last meeting, we did okay a special use permit for that property. This property did have a development agreement on that. And Henry, do you want to just explain?
Yes, sir. We actually have Scott Bickley with us. If you have any questions for him, his letter is in your packet. They were made aware of this development agreement basically in the 11th hour by us. Their bank nor their title company the bank hired or was involved with this made them aware of this, which is a whole nother issue. But Scott did speak to me about the development agreement. He didn't quite understand all the requirements. And I think he's just before you to give some consideration, because I did include some information in the packet. This project has never met the target of $250,000. As I explained in the memo, we have 40 development agreements. All but 3 include the increased increment in the value of the land. Remember, this was vacant land before it was developed, and there's probably $120,000 approximately in increment value in the land, and he's just before you to request that you include that in the development target. And you can see with the value of the building at 205, and if the increment land value is in there, he's going to exceed his target. So that's really before you. If you deny this, then he would be looking at continued penalties. I don't see the value of that building coming up anytime soon. It's been fairly level these past years. So I don't know, Scott, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
No. Can you step up to the podium?
Probably state your name, please.
My name's Scott Bickley, and I own Little Wolf Automotive in Manawan, and went to school here in Waupaca also, and was employed by many Waupaca businesses. But I guess as Henry had kind of explained it, and he explained it very well, I was notified basically 2 days before signing, and we had gone through this like 3-4 months of trying to get this going. And it was kind of a shock to me, and I talked with Dave Teal, and I'm friends with Dave. We work together on Manawa projects also, and we all work together and I see where TIF has made a difference in the county, and I see why, what TIF has done, and it has helped, especially in our area over in Manawa and Storms. But But basically, I wasn't involved in the building of the building. I wasn't involved in a lot of it, and then I'm kind of accepting this. But I'm asking that, you include the price of the land on this. I don't want to be known as a special, but we are local, and we use local businesses here in town and local banks and everything like that to make all this work. And I'll be free to ask any questions you got.
I think it's important to understand that when we talk about adding in the value of the land, we're only actually talking about the increase of the land. So the original value, remember, still the original amount, the original value of the land is not asked to be put into this development agreement. And this is, what his request is actually bringing the request up to what most of our normal development agreements have been in the past, where we include the increase in increment on the property over and above what the original cost was when it came into the TIF, meaning that we would include the improvements that are on that property, but we would also include in the development agreement the increase of land because of that development agreement on there. So although this came to us and also came to Scott at the last minute here, as we look at some of our other development agreements, this development agreement, quite honestly, probably should have included the increased increment in land. So really what the request is tonight is to bring this up to what other development agreements that we have in our city meet.
Was there any indication as to why originally it had not been? Was it anything to do with the Bonson property, or was there anything in any of the literature or any of the agreements that specifically address that?
I think it was just, quite frankly, Mr. Hagan negotiated that way. I think the former owner said, I think my building will be valued at $250,000, and that's what it was set, and that was what was negotiated. It was a prior employee, he's now retired, that really worked on those details, but it was my guess of it. I don't have anything. I mean, you sit down, you work these up as staff, you bring them forward, and obviously it was okay with the developer. He felt comfortable that he was going to meet that target. I mean, that's what we always tell them, to be conservative, because if you don't meet that target, we're going to send you a penalty every year. But I know we do say that.
Yeah.
So.
And again, I want to make sure that we understand this. Although I'm very sympathetic to the situation that Scott is in, I'm not sure that that would merit enough for us to give him that consideration. But I do think that when this development agreement was set up, the increment of land should have been included in that to give him that value, which would have been more than enough so that it would not be penalized.
Mayor, how does putting a building on a piece of land increase its value by $102,000?
That's a good question. You should ask the assessor that. But I'm assuming that land was just bare land at that time, and by putting that building on there with the utilities and the sidewalk that were put in there, which again was part of the development, they had to use some of that money to put the utilities on there and the improvements that were made to the curb and sidewalk. So that money did go towards the development of that property too.
Okay.
So there must be some land improvements besides just the building improvements, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could probably add that, the parent parcel was like 14 acres. Well, what does the note say? Yeah, about 15 acres, and we just took the assessed value of that vacant land and divided by 15 acres. That's why the base value was set at 20. It was about, no, it worked out to 1 million on the land. It worked out to about 69, 70,000 per acre, and it's about a third of an acre. That's how we had to determine a base value when I was doing these penalty invoices. We had to have some base value, and that's how we determine it.
Are we, you're saying this was negotiated with the previous owner, that the value of the land or the increment, increased value of the land would not be counted towards his development target?
I can't speak to that, Mr. Mayo. I was not directly involved in that.
Well, my point for asking that question is if we approve this tonight, would the previous owner possibly come back and say, hey, I paid penalties all those years, and now you're changing the agreement so that...
Well, I can guarantee you that previous owner isn't going to be coming back.
Well, and he didn't pay all the penalties. I think that was all
Oh,
handled
right.
at this closing. There was a couple, 2-3 years of.
Okay.
This is very, if you remember right, this is, I mean, we've had a request similar to this at the hotel too, the Best Western Hotel too, if you guys remember that with the addition of that strip mall that was out in front. So, very similar to what happened there.
And Paul, I had a front row seat to when they built that. I was working at Pick and Save at the bank at the time, and they put in, it was just a total piece of wasteland, and it was made into a viable business area with utilities and curb, and it definitely did improve the value of that land considerably.
Okay, we need a motion. Somebody want to make a motion?
I will make a motion to grant or to agree to include the increased land value in the development agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Hagan, second by Perchatsky, that we amend the development agreement to include the increase in land value.
And just to clarify, is that, I mean, the amount that is stated in our information here? We're talking about a fixed dollar amount?
No, it'll just say generally.
Okay,
Yeah, because that'll change over time,
okay.
potentially. Yep. The target of 250,000 doesn't change though.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, Sandy will call the roll.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Jillian Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
John Lockwood,
I have to abstain.
Dave Shambo,
Aye.
and Deb Fensky.
Aye.
9 ayes, motion carried.
Thanks.
I'd like to thank the city for taking that in consideration and look forward to working here.
Thanks, Scott. Good luck to you. Okay, moving on to personnel items. We have a library director job description. Peg, you want to touch on this for us? Or Henry?
Yeah.
Sure, it's just a
Just
kind of
talking about your position, so you
It's a
should know it.
cleanup of the position, number 9. It actually outlines that perform collection development functions for large print. I oversee all of the collection development for the adult department and not specifically do that large print collection development, so it's a cleanup of that. And then creating database files and records, that's actually another person's job within our organization. So just a cleanup of that to make sure there's a clarification on what my actual job duties are.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the library director's job description as the 2 changes.
Second.
We have a motion by Hackett, second by Lockwood, that we approve of the library director's job description as it's printed in your report. Any discussion?
Question, is this typical of city employees that we approve the job descriptions rather than as a, city administrator?
No, yes, you approve them.
Okay.
And to tell you the truth, our job descriptions are probably 13 years old, and if we did that exercise with every one of us, there's probably going to be a lot of changes. So it probably needs to be done as a project in the next couple of years, citywide.
The library board also approved the changes prior to.
Do
Now that we are at full speed here, with Brandon being on board and of course Aaron being on board too, I think Henry will have more opportunities to work on a lot of those things, yeah.
I can do my job.
So, and John also for that matter. Okay, I don't think we voted on that yet, did we?
No.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, nothing under unfinished business. We have new business. I'll turn that over to our council president.
Thank you, Mayor. John Pori has resigned from the Emergency Planning Committee, and as his replacement, the mayor appoints Mark Frederickson. Having heard this appointment, I would need a motion for approval.
So moved?
Second?
Moved by Lockwood, second by Olson, that council approves of the appointment of Mark Frederickson to replace John Pori on the Emergency Planning Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We also have the mayor's appointment of Terry Harrington to the Emergency Planning Committee. Having heard this appointment, I would need a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion by Keeland, second by Lockwood, that council approve of the mayor's appointment of Terry Harrington to the Emergency Planning Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you, Paul, for that. Okay, under the communications recommendations of the mayor, a couple things. One, I'm going to request that, and I've talked to Henry about this today, that we have our financial advisor, Brad Vergoot, will come back and want to have a discussion. And this has to do with the discussion on the public works facility and so on, but our pro forma or projections, as you want to look at them, I would like to have and this would be a meeting outside of the council meeting originally where we just sit down and go through this and make sure that we understand what our future is and what we can do as far as keeping within budget. I am going to ask two members of the council, Alderperson Shambo and Alderperson Mayo, to also be in attendance for that. If there are any other council members that would also like to be in on that, just please notify Henry or myself, and we'll certainly let you know when that meeting will be. It will probably either be on a Tuesday afternoon or a Thursday morning. Okay? One other thing, just a personal note, it's with a heavy heart that I am here tonight. My younger brother, Michael, and most of you guys remember him as Hank, passed away on Sunday. So hopefully you keep his son and daughter in your prayers as you think about him. We need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Hagan, that we adjourn till our next regular schedule meeting, which is June 18th, 2013, 6:30. Remember the time, 6:30 p.m., subject to call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We are adjourned at 7:20 p.m. Thank you.